Day 2, Gazbot in Japan, starting with a giant Gundam. I'm gonna go pilot it. I'll talk to you guys later. It feels like we're not moving. There's no sound. There's no vibration. Except the good vibrations! I don't know what that is over there. That looks kind of cool though. Oh. Alright, we're really in Japan now. You see that? That's on every street corner, patrolling for justice. Right next to the Gundam statue are these gashapon machines, which had, among other things, pins that were exclusive. And then there was this little store. It says Gundam Front, but it's actually just a trailer with models, some of which are exclusive. And then we went to the Gundam Cafe, which was awesome. There's several, but this was the one in Odaiba, which is where the statue is. And they had like a 12-inch vinyl of the original Gundam there that had some custom stickers that said Gundam Cafe Odaiba. And if we lived there, we could get some Zaku or Gundam credit cards, which I absolutely would if it was a possibility in America. These little guys were in the shop. These are like stackables. It seemed to be a popular new toy format. I saw it at a few different properties. And these were pens that had toppers that all moved in some way, shape, or form. Very impractical for writing, but fun, I guess. And there is a wide shot of the Gundam Cafe. The whole thing kind of had a decor like you're inside a base or a mech or something. They had these little guys that were like, you know, traditional green army men, which were pretty awesome. And I was very tempted to get some, but I don't know what I would do with them. They had curry that had flavors and branding as well as mugs. Everything there was branded with Gundam stuff, obviously. There's a better shot of the curries. And it was cool. The people that worked there were dressed in the military uniforms from the Gundam universe. And after you ordered, they would give you like a salute as the final thing, as they carried out your orders. And again, here's more stuff. There's like bottle jackets and coasters and all kinds of stuff. They were heavily promoting Gundam's origin, the movie, while we were there in a lot of different places. That was some original art and other things. And this was the menu of items you could get at this cafe. All of the items in the cafes, as much as they can, are themed both in name and in presentation to resemble Gundam stuff. This was the okonomiyaki Gundams. Inside, they had different things. Q got like hamburger and cheese. I got bananas and chocolate in mine. That's just another shot of the shop. Not very exciting, but you can see the floor mat. There's a close-up of the Gundam head from the other one, which is pretty awesome. I wasn't 100% sure if I was allowed to take pictures here, so I took a lot, but often when they weren't looking. Here's a cardboard stand-up. I forget this guy's name, but he's the main bad guy from the original series, I believe. And this is my favorite. These were the Gundam lattes, as they were called. And you'd get a Zaku or a Gundam. I think that was cinnamon or brown sugar. And then that's the little okonomiyaki. And you can see the signs, please cooperate with judgment. Gum syrup. This stuff was awesome. I used this in coffee. It's basically like liquid sugar, but it was so good in cappuccino or lattes where it wouldn't ruin the froth and it would just melt right in. I wish I had it here. And that's just a, you know, napkin that has the branding. And that's me on the steps next to the cafe, and that's the little model shop and the Gundam behind. It was so big and so awesome. And then there's another shot of the sign. Yeah, we spent quite a bit of time there. There were gashapon in front of the Gundam Cafe as well as next to the statue. Most of them, as it turns out, were not exclusive. The only one that was exclusive was the one that had the like lapel pins, like the kind of metal nice ones. All the rest we found in various different other places. And there's Q giving her salute. Peace. You can see she has a little pin on her jacket, and yeah, even the cups were branded. Everything was branded. Like it was not done half-ass. It was very whole-ass. The Odaiba Mall, and it looks like there's more above us and 6 floors below us. There's a bowling alley, an arcade, a subway, McDonald's, and a Daiso. What don't you like about the signs?
It's like, be careful, your clothes might get stuck in the escalator and you're gonna die.
This is on the roof of the mall. Like 9th floor, I think. I realized after the fact you're not supposed to be doing any video or photography. This was sort of the Gundam Museum. It was outside the Gundam front, which was upstairs in the mall from where the statue is. And I don't know if it had every single Gundam model that had ever been produced, but it certainly had a good representation of most of it. And as much time as I spent here, I'm not actually a huge Gundam fan. I'm a huge robot fan, and I'm a huge fan of the over-the-top nature that they did everything in here. And the museum was pretty much just one room lined with glass cases with every, again, to my knowledge, every version of every Gundam they've ever made, which may not be true, but it was certainly impressive. And as many pictures as I took, it still was a tiny amount. That is a sign from outside that is not related to what's going on here. But it was really great to see. This guy's the original, which is one of my favorites. I love that he has little chrome parts. It actually made me want to get this one. Not that they were selling them, but this guy was part of the front exhibit, and you can see they had like trees set up, trees of parts that is set up behind him. I don't know if these were prototypes or those were just the vinyls. They're definitely older. A lot of this stuff is really cool. None of it was for sale. It was all just display. They had a few things for sale elsewhere, but you can see that they have like more modern looking ones with like energy effects, and it was, yeah, even knowing, I mean, I knew a little bit about Gundam, not a lot, but even if you knew nothing, it would absolutely be worth checking out. This was one of my favorite displays. It had all the different versions of the traditional Gundam from the first series, you know, scale-wise, detail-wise, and I would love to have one of those big guys of him, which probably eventually I'll get. I have since watched the first episode of Gundam, and while it wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, it was better than I thought. I've always thought it would be a little bit too military real robot for me, but at least that first series is very super robot, where like the inventor's son stumbles into the Gundam and starts piloting it like a champ, and that's very super robot. There's a cool Zaku. But yeah, as far as museums go, it's my kind of museum. Small and full of toys. But yeah, this was all outside of the actual, I guess for lack of a better term, exhibit. There's Q in front of a bunch of stuff. And yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure we weren't supposed to take these, but it was fun. This was actually the entrance to the Gundam front proper. The museum would be to the left. And this was, you know, sort of I don't want to call it a theme park. It was an attraction, I guess, that was only here in Odaiba, even though there's Gundam cafes elsewhere. That was inside the bathroom. They had little placards over the urinals. Yeah, this is again over a trash can in the garbage, in the bathroom rather. Everything was branded and awesome. That was on the floor, 35th anniversary of Gundam. And again, look at the English. It's unusual, even though the people there didn't speak English. Men! Gundam men! Gunmen? Gunmen. Men guns. What? I don't know what that is. That's a big piece of chartles. I don't know what that is. This is inside the event proper, which we had to pay to get in extra. The museum was free. You can't tell very well from here, but that was a movie theater. And this is the giant Gundam that's like sort of waist up, that's life size, like it's crashing through the floor. And you could take a picture in the cockpit, which we did for an extra fee, which I'll go ahead and... It was a 2-for-1 kind of price. The one on the right, you can't really tell, but it was a lenticular thing, which they were calling like a 3D. The one on the left was more of a standard picture, which is a little bit faded, unfortunately, like just the quality of their printer, but it was still pretty awesome. It was almost worth paying it just to get in the suits and get up in there, and there was like, you couldn't see it, but there was a cockpit. unfortunately, they wouldn't let us take pictures in there. And this was a life-size prop of, I think it was like a cockpit that had from a Gundam that had been smashed. I'm sure if I was more versed in the universe, I could tell you exactly what this was from and the significance of that book and stuff. But there's just another shot of the Gundam. That was the one that we could get inside of, as it were. And I thought it was funny. There was a lot of these safety signs, like "Don't step," but it would have a big Gundam robot foot. And then later there were other ones with hands and stuff. There's another shot of the ship that had a lot of light, and I think occasionally had smoke coming out of it, and so it was pretty legit. And that's just a wall of all different ships that Q was standing in front of that you could barely see because of the darkness. And this was sort of the museum area, and they had a timeline of robots, and I was excited because they had Mazinger Z, but they also have like Diatarn, and it talks about how it gets up to 79, and hey, here come the Gundams. This was after we had seen the movie, which was included as part of it, which was like a big 3D planetarium-style battle between two different Gundams, and I think there was a couple different shows. We just stayed for one. These that you're seeing now are all prototype sketches versus the final like design drawing, which I always find interesting for anything, but especially these, like the Zaku's almost the same, but others were like completely different. And these were not life-size, but like human-size, like 6-foot tall statues of the three, I guess, original Gundam, which, like, for my limited exposure, are my three favorite designs, probably just because they're old school, chunky, clunky, kind of like G1 Transformers or more super robot-y. But this was a nice little setup that I took these home, and they're in my... No. But, and then here's some models. The next room after that was, it had a big screen showing stuff from various Gundam series, and while you were allowed to take pictures in here, you weren't allowed to take pictures of the screen for some reason, but they had every iteration of Gundam with a poster above it, and then representations of models underneath it. So it was almost like the Gundam Museum all over again. And so then I just took a bunch of random pictures. I didn't document every single one. It really... Very often when I was in a place where I was able to take pictures, there was just more than realistically I could take a picture of, unless I was willing to spend hours in a place just doing nothing but taking pictures and documenting it. The ceiling had a cool Zaku design. There was a lot of stuff where, yeah, if you just... When you would look around, you'd find extra little touches and designs. This is a G Gundam poster, which I've never seen, but everybody tells me that G Gundam is the one I would like, and the little bit I have seen, I tend to agree. That was just some chromey man. Chromey Man! Gundam Chromey Man! There you are. That was actually on our way out. I love these spinners. I have something similar to this, but the fact that it's battery powered bums me out. I love the chromey gold in these guys. And the clear day glow fire. This is well, again, not a life-size statue, but like a 6-foot tall statue. I'm not sure of the model Gundam, but it lit up and it was pretty badass. This was like a rocket kick line they had in the gift store, which I thought was pretty fun. And the next thing is they had this Gundam card game, which I didn't know what it was at the time. Little did I know in the future I'd end up spending lots of time and money on this in an arcade in the future. And there's some cool looking samurai guy. Yeah, again, if I knew more about Gundam, I could be more specific about this stuff, but it doesn't matter. The little bit I knew, it was super fun. Like, I don't think anybody could go there and not have a good time regardless of your knowledge of Gundam. If you like robots or fun things. Oh, I love this diorama. This wasn't something they were selling. It was just set up that way. This is the kind of stuff I'd love to have in my house. This was awesome. This is a little setup of the Gundam they have out front that I showed video of earlier, so you see all the little tourists and stuff. Another big giant monster Gundam, and we're coming to the end of this soon. I know you're probably getting tired of hearing me say, look, another Gundam. Here's the sign for the hand. Again, a big robot hand, no big robot hand. So I touched everything with my flesh fingers. You can kind of see in the background... Oh, wow, it says no photography. Oh, those no photography signs were for the movie. That is the entrance to the movie theater, which I was not able to take pictures in. Because I'm like, was I flaunting the rules right there? And these guys are pretty awesome. Very kind of old school samurai looking type stuff. That's awesome.
that's neat.
Next up, Daiso, Japan. We have these by our house, but we wanted to see if they were any different. And they were slightly different.
Shooting gun. Shooting gun.
They had so much good candy toys and other kind of licensed things. Here's some Kamen Rider and some Pokemon. A lot of stuff like that that I had to stop myself from getting. Just because I knew I could probably get it at home and there was going to be better stuff and space was an issue, but it was a lot of fun to look at. We left the Odaiba Mall and went into the Gate of Goddess, which led us to this other mall, which we really only went into because they had a Toys R Us in the basement. And that Toys R Us was full of Gundam and other goodies.
Because there's Ultra Ginga S. Yeah, this is Ultraman Ginga S. Which we don't have yet. Where are you?
Oh. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. It's so beautiful.
So Toys R Us in Japan, exactly what I would want it to be. Over here we have SH figure arts and robot spirits and high-end collectibles just mixed in with all the regular toys. You see they got Saint Seiya and Ultraman. They got Daitarn 3. These are like high-end between $30 and $300 toys. These are some Transformers. These were like little Q Transformers that I have not seen in America, and I did pick one up. This is a blurry picture, but they had some strange Marvel figures that looked like a scale and line that I haven't seen here. I didn't pick any up, but this was a Thor. This is huge over there. This is Yokai Watch, I believe it's pronounced, and it's sort of like a Pokemon-type battle with monsters. And they have these little cat guys. That one robot one I was tempted to buy because he's a robot cat with a rocket punch. I think Q got the main guy, who's that orange one. And this is just one of those Pokemon from XY that I thought was neat looking. But this Toys R Us had everything an American Toys R Us would have, more or less. And then had huge, this is the display for the current Sentai / Power Rangers series, which is Shuriken Sentai Ninja. And here's the current Kamen Rider, which is Drive. These are all belts and vinyls, and then a huge display for that. What was cool is not just that they had these properties I don't see in America, but they had great displays. And it was good in Toys R Us, but I saw it in other stores too. This is for Kamen Rider. Which is Masked Rider in the U.S. It's sort of like Skylanders / Amiibo. More candy toys. Again, I was very tempted to buy these, but I held off because there's only so much room. Again, here's a huge display for the Ninja Jer. I'm probably mispronouncing it. It's like basically ninja with an extra N on. Vinyls. Again, tempted to get these, but I don't even know that I like this show yet, so. Hold on. These machines were card game machines, similar to the one we saw at the Gundam front. This was outside of Toys R Us. They just had like 5 of them. And right near the front, they had all these samurai helmets, which was the most like cliche, almost offensive thing. I mean, obviously it's not, but like if it was in America, we're like, yeah, and we'll put samurai helmets in Toys R Us. It would seem weird. Gachapon machines, they have these everywhere, also called capsule machines. They range from $1 to $5, which is odd. I didn't even think about that before. I never saw any that were for quarters. This is the Statue of Liberty again, up close. And we saw a couple flowers. It was just the beginning of the cherry blossom. I don't think these are cherry blossom. I don't know my plants, but they were pink trees. So I was like, hey, good enough. Let's walk back to the other mall because this Toys R Us mall, other than Toys R Us, was lame. I thought these were really cool Tron-looking stair things going up and down in the Diva Mall. And they had a Titan from Attack on Titan just chomping on the Tokyo Tower. There was a lot of Attack on Titan stuff and a lot of touristy stuff. That's me being shocked by them stairs. Whoa! Tron stairs. And then check out this little jammer.
That's why he sounds angry.
私はアメリカ人です. Oh, he's American.
Baka baka.
You're my buddy.
We spent way too long playing with that guy. This was a crazy glowy pillar. This is the same mall with the Tron stairs. It looks like the top of like a concert stadium, and this pillar, a little Hello Kitty cafe. We didn't go in there. There's a lot of stuff like this that I just took a picture of, and there was never enough time. There's me enjoying the pillar. Look, it's like my hair. Swank. My hair is swank? I don't know what that means. Hillary Swank. I'm a boxer. More Yokai Watch. This was at a Tower Mini. Tower Records still exists there. I don't know if it exists here in America. It certainly doesn't exist in the amount it exists there, because I saw at least 3 or 4 of them in just in the limited areas we were. But this one was in the mall. Went to there's the sign. Went to a couple different music stores looking for Ultraman theme song, soundtracks and things like that. And Q was looking for some Evangelion, and we had a hard time finding it. That's Vocaloid, like Hatsune Miko, who's like not a real person but a computer-generated simulation that goes on tour and has music and stuff. But apparently there's many of them. There was a whole Vocaloid section. This was another store. It was kind of like a Spencer's Gifts, or like a more like that than a Hot Topic. But if you don't know what that is, it's like a Hot Topic. They just had a bunch of stuff. I think about some Ultraman stickers here. I saw that little drop. I wasn't sure if that was the thing from Dragon Warrior or not. Oh, and here's Migi. Migi! That is the movie we saw, Parasite, and there's just all the manga and other paraphernalia. And if you notice, there's like a Kirby hand-drawn sign. I saw a lot of hand-drawn signs, many of them with cartoons. This was some ramen I got that was supposed to be vegetarian. It was, I looked all over, and it was called Chinese vegetable whatever. This is what Q got. And it had no mention of meat, and it said soy broth. But when I got it, it had big old chunks of chicken. Anyway, I didn't eat it. We sat here while we ate, and if you look, you could see the Gundam outside. And it was starting to get dark. This is what I actually ate. This was some udon noodles and some veggie tempura and some white rice. And there's nothing. That's this cold udon. And here's the Gundam at night. It looks pretty cool. Apparently there's like a whole light mapping show, but we kind of just got a little bit of the early show. We didn't get the full on effect, but it's still pretty neat. I'll show you a piece of it. Well, I'm showing you a piece of it. So from there, we decided to head out. That was our hotel. We checked out. We went down into the sort of bottom lobby thing that I found that was huge that nobody was in. This hotel was super fancy. We went there mainly to rest our feet a bit. We had already checked out. We had to pick up our bags, and we plugged in our phones and our Wi-Fi. There's me being excited about the way I match the color of the interior of the hotel. And then we had a train trip ahead of us because we were going to Fuji-Q Highlands. Fuji-Q is a theme park, and it is right near Mount Fuji. And we were leaving, I want to say it was like 6 or 7, something like that. And I thought it was going to be like a 2 or 3 hour trip at the most. I thought it was about 2 hours. Ended up taking us about 5 hours. There was a couple transfers. Not all of it was covered by our rail pass. We had to pay for a big stretch of it. And it was just kind of sucky. And we ended up on trains with like no one on them, with crazy heat on our legs and stuff. They still sell Zima in Japan, as a side note. And when we got there, we had a hotel reservation, and this is just stuff we saw on the way as I'm talking over it. But when we got there, everything was closed and off, and I was thinking that we would walk over, and it was about a mile away, but it was dark, and it was more of like a sort of suburban neighborhood, and Q was a little bit worried about walking. Thought these were cool lights by the train. They didn't all have it, just this one. And so we were like, okay, let's get a cab, but there was no cabs. There was nothing. It was just desolate, and I ended up peeing on a wall because I had to pee so bad. A cool vending machine. Anyway, I tried using the phone to call somebody, a cab, because there was like a payphone that had like an 800 number thing, and I called this cab number, but they didn't speak a lick of English, and I tried my best Japanese to kind of let them know that we were coming, or that we wanted them to come. And we were right by the exit of Fuji-Q, so it was a good landmark. And actually, even though it was nighttime and stuff, they had like a little lighted vestibule with like a closed door that was really nice that we could wait in, but we couldn't wait there because the cab was coming. But they said they'd be there in about 10 minutes. We waited 10 minutes, then we walked kind of to the edge of the corner, waited another 10 minutes, and eventually it's like, well, let's walk over here and see what we could find. Found a Lawson's, which is, again, like a 7-Eleven. Guy in there didn't speak any English, used my little bit of Japanese between me and Q. We told him we wanted a taxi. He called a taxi for us. Super helpful guy. taxi came in like 1 minute. So my suspicion is it was the taxi that we called originally, although I don't know where they went because we said we were at Fuji-Q. They should have seen, where we were calling from. It was like their phone booth thing. Anyway, they picked us up. The guy in the Lawsons actually ran out to the cab when he saw him come and like told the guy where we were going and, made sure we were going the right place. Cab driver took us there. We got all into the right spot. Didn't have to tip because you don't tip at all. So it worked out okay, but there was a little moment of stress there. And you've just been staring at a picture of me because I ran out of pictures and I wanted to narrate a little bit more. One cool thing is that they actually had a key for the door, which I had not seen elsewhere in Japan or even in America in a long time for that matter. The hotel room was okay. Had this crazy wiring. This was behind like the little end desk. They had like the modem and the lamp and everything else in there.
Look at this amazing craftsmanship. The electrician in here, boy oh boy, so good. From the front, it looks nice.
The guy at the front desk was friendly, and again, he had a little bit of English, but not too much, and he asked us if we were going to Fuji-Q, and he told us that there's this like secret entrance to get in there early. We ended up not using it because we slept in. If you notice, there's a light under that foot thing. Almost all the hotel room, and I also got these avocado cream cheese at some point on our journeys, which I really enjoyed. The bathrooms in almost all of the hotel rooms have this elevated step, and I'm not sure exactly why. Some were higher than others. Also, a lot of the tubs were elevated, as you can see. Yeah, it's a shower, but it's a bath, but it's really high, and a lot of times their baths were so small you could barely use them anyway. And they all had the fancy toilets with the bidet and the heated seat and everything like that. Now I'm going to show you the swag I got that day that I videoed in the bad light.
This is the bag from the Gundam Cafe. It says Akihabara, but we were at the Odaiba. I'm guessing Akihabara maybe was the first one. These are pins from the cafe that are exclusive. You can see Q got a pink Zaku, and I got a traditional Gundam. Both serving. They're deliciously cute. And then they have a ton of gashpan machines outside, which supposedly are exclusive to the Gundam front stores. And this is needs to be put together, but the Gundam pointing is gun straight up and a kind of clear energy Zaku. Oh yeah, and here is the pin I got. And there was, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 different designs, all from gashpan machines, but they're really nice, like a metal laminate pin. And these are exclusive. You can see it says Gundam front. So Q got 2 of these, actually. I got 1. They're pretty awesome. Then we went to Daiso, which was funny because we have them by us. It's sort of like a dollar store. So being in Japan, it felt like a little bit of home, even though that's the Japanese store by us. But they had much cooler stuff. They had all the usual like candy and stuff, but I got these Ultraman Ginga cards with bubblegum, I believe. I got a Pepsi that was just a regular sort of diet Pepsi called Pepsi Next, and it came with this little sticker. These guys, I forget what they're called. They're kind of like Pokemon, but they're fighting cats. Then they had a whole section of toys of these train set things. And these were $1 each. They had a ton. I would have bought a ton more if I didn't have to worry about bringing them home, because they're perfectly scaled to be like a diorama for my Godzilla and Ultraman type figures. The mother load, though, was Toys R Us, which sounds like not a big deal, but it really was. They had a whole aisle of Gundam, a whole aisle of Ultraman, Godzilla, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, you name all the stuff you'd want it to have, it had. It was great. These are all vinyls. They're a little bit smaller than the traditional ones. They're more like 5 inches, but they still have, the regular articulation. They also have the Ultra Live in the foot, so that if you get the Henshin device from the current Ultraman show or the last one, they'll activate the device. They themselves don't do anything special. And so these are Q's. And she got Ultraman Taro, which is the guy from Ginga, where he is this size figure, and he's always like, I want to be big. Only he doesn't have that accent. And traditional Ultraman Hayata, or the first. This, I haven't seen this guy yet, but he's pretty awesome. He's Ultraman Ginga Galaxy, I believe, which I guess is the next incarnation. And then Baltan Seijin, or Alien, which I don't have any figures of yet, so it's kind of cool to have that. And this is Ultraman Zero in some other form, which I guess happens at some point, but I don't know when. But I don't have a figure of that, so that's cool. This is Ultraman Victory from a different line, and I'm unclear if he is like a next evolution of Ginga or if he's a completely different character. I think he might be a different character, like they're partners or whatever. This is from a different line. He was a little more expensive, but he has light and sound himself, which I'm not going to activate now. But the really crazy part was, well, I said I didn't have a Baltan Seijin, but now we have 2. There's this Baltan and this, I think, Dino Tank, which is kind of a weird, obscure, monstery guy. They are both wind-up toys. These were less than $2 each. They were 200 yen, which at an even exchange rate would be $2 each, but the yen is favorable now. So these were like 82 cents, I think, each, which is nuts. They were brand new. It's not like they were on sale or discount or something. If I lived closer to home, I probably would have bought a few more just for the heck of it. But since space is more of a concern than money where these are concerned. And I got one Transformer. I was tempted to get a few more. It's this line, this Q line. They're all tiny, but they're all G1 guys. Well, they're not all G1 guys, but the ones in this particular wave are all G1 guys. So I got Red Alert, but they had like Smokescreen and Wheeljack and a bunch of others. So I don't know if we're going to get these in America or not. So I picked one up. He was about $8. So the most expensive one was this Light and Sound guy, who was about 15. But in general, this stuff would have been a lot more in America. And then they had gachapon machines where you put the coins in and twist. I was going to say quarters, but usually they're more like $2, $3, but they have coins for that. And I got this little family. And this guy, I believe, is Migi, or somebody that looks like him, which was the weird hand character in a movie called Parasite, which is based on a manga and anime. But they were showing that movie as one of the choices on the plane, which we watched, and it was pretty awesome. So it was crazy to then be like, oh, I guess this is a thing here. And he could get it at Toys R Us, and we did. So yeah, that was the Toys R Us haul, which was pretty badass.